Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
We've got the sources you send over right here, and we're ready to really dig into this fascinating shift that's happening.
Yeah, in the world of luxury.
Exactly. How these high-end brands are moving beyond, just selling incredible
Right,
products
the physical item.
and stepping, well, pretty squarely into the realm of entertainment.
It's a big move.
Yeah, we've got articles, some research notes here looking at those recent market dynamics.
Well, the LVMH and Hermes numbers.
Yeah, exactly, those surprising numbers.
Hmm.
And exploring how names like, well, Chanel, Miu Miu, Saint Laurent, Valentino, Louis Vuitton, how they're strategically weaving creativity and performance right into their core.
It seems really intentional.
It does. So our mission today really is to unpack how they're using this creativity, this entertainment to build cultural relevance.
Make those connections.
Forge emotional connections, exactly, and ultimately drive value in ways that go, way beyond just a beautiful handbag or a suit.
Beyond the tangible.
Okay, let's get into it.
So what's fascinating right off the bat is the market performance we saw, Q1 2025.
Yeah.
The sources, they really highlight that LVMH, I mean, the giant,
Yeah, the Titan.
actually posted a 3% sales decline?
Which was, yeah, a bit of a shocker, honestly.
And then in that same period, Hermes...
You saw a strong 9% rise.
Exactly, a 9% rise in sales. So this divergence, it was huge news.
Right. And Hermes even, briefly overtook LVMH in market value.
For a moment, yeah.
Yeah.
And headlines everywhere were asking, okay, what is Hermes doing differently?
What can everyone else learn?
Yeah, what are the lessons here?
And, the traditional answer usually points straight to Hermes's incredible discipline, right?
The exclusivity, the scarcity.
That whole model, the heritage, that's definitely part of the story.
It is, and it's fundamental to their success, no doubt.
Mm.
But the material that we're looking at here suggests there's something else going on, too, maybe more nuanced.
Perhaps even more profound, a shift in how we even define luxury. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. It's not just about owning the rarest thing anymore, is it?
Not according to the research, no. We saw reports showing that, almost 80% of high net worth individuals
Wow, 80%.
are now prioritizing experiences. Think, travel, wellness, unique moments.
Meaningful stuff.
Right, over purely physical possessions.
So, okay, if luxury isn't solely defined by what you own, what else is driving that connection, that growth, especially for brands like Hermes that are performing so well?
Well, the concept the sources bring up is this idea of the creative premium.
Creative premium, okay.
It basically links a brand's influence and its creative energy directly to its financial performance.
So creativity equals value.
In a way, yeah. The study mentioned showed brands strong in both areas achieved significantly higher market capitalization. We're talking 4.7 times higher.
4.7 times?
And 2.2 times the stock returns compared to brands, with less of that creative energy.
Okay, so creativity isn't just fluff for luxury. It's a serious financial driver. Absolutely.
And the material suggests brands are increasingly channeling this creative energy into entertainment.
Precisely. Entertainment is presented as this, deeply human space.
Okay.
It provides collective relief. It's a way to process reality, maybe, to feel something together.
Right. In a world that feels pretty anxious sometimes.
Exactly. So for luxury brands, it's becoming a way to express their core essence, offering these moments of joy, escape, genuine connection.
And the sources are pretty clear. This isn't just about, putting on a massive one-off spectacle.
No, it's much more strategic than that.
How so?
Well, brands are subtly, but very deliberately, weaving entertainment into their very fabric. It's a tool.
A tool for what?
To build deeper connections, create a sense of anticipation, maybe even a bit of tension,
Okay.
and establish a continuous cultural presence. The real shift is towards brands acting more like cultural producers, like storytellers.
Not just manufacturers.
So how are they actually doing this? Let's maybe look at some specific examples from the sources. Hermes, for instance, they seem to be leaning into theatrical storytelling.
Yes, the examples we saw were really quite evocative on the wings of Hermes, for instance.
Right. That was in Miami, April 2025.
Yeah, described as this multi-sensory experience blending cinema, dance, theater.
All those art forms together. And they also have their long-standing equestrian events, so Hermes.
That's right. And the point seems to be these aren't just events. They're crafted as these poetic, almost dreamlike experiences.
Creating a feeling.
Exactly. The goal is forging these lasting emotional connections with the audience. It's about the feeling, the narrative they create.
Okay, and then Miu Miu. They seem to take a slightly different path, but still strategic, weaving joy and curiosity through cultural projects.
Yeah, like that recent collaboration with Coco Gauff and New Balance. That fits.
Right.
And what really stood out to me was the Miu Miu Literary Club.
A literary...
Yeah, think about that. Exploring subjects like girlhood, love, sex education. I mean, that's direct engagement in creative dialogue, in the arts. It goes way beyond just fashion.
It's fostering a whole conversation, isn't it? And that sits alongside their Women's Tales film series.
Which is now in its 29th edition, championing female directors.
Incredible longevity.
And these initiatives, plus collaborations with, multidisciplinary artists, even the branded beach clubs mentioned.
Right, I saw that.
It's about more than just showing off products.
They're inviting people to feel something, to discover, maybe belong to a community built around shared interests, shared values.
That seems to be the idea, reframing the relationship with fashion through something maybe slower, more sensory, more connective.
Interesting. So beyond theater and literary clubs, cinema seems to be emerging as another really powerful canvas for these brands.
Definitely. For telling stories, connecting emotionally.
And Saint Laurent made a really bold move here, didn't they? First luxury house to set up his own film production company.
Yeah, Ami Verte, they call it.
Ami Verte.
And that investment, well, it paid off significantly. Their film, Emily Perez, it swept 4 Golden Globes back in January 2025.
4 Golden Globes, including one for Zoe Saldana.
Right. And what's key here, as the sources point out, is the narrative is front and center. The story isn't just, like, supporting the product. Sometimes the story is the main event.
That's a fundamental shift in focus, and LVMH is obviously looking at this space, too.
They announced 22 Montaigne Entertainment, exploring storytelling potential across, 70 maisons.
70? That's a huge portfolio.
It is. And Valentino also had a really notable initiative at the Beijing International Film Festival, end of April 2025.
Okay, what did they do there?
They partnered with the Forward Future section, introduced the Dream Forward with Valentino, Costume Creatives Award.
So directly linking fashion to the craft of filmmaking itself.
Exactly. Spotting emerging Chinese directors, supporting them in weaving fashion into their narratives. It connects design right into the storytelling.
Very smart. And Chanel just seems to keep blurring those lines between fashion and film.
They really do, in quite captivating ways. I mean, the location for their cruise 2025-26 collection reveal.
Villa d'Este at Lake Como says it all, right?
Totally. Classic film glamour, and having actresses there like Keira Knightley, Lupita Nyong'o, it just reinforces that connection. Plus, having Sofia Coppola direct a short film starring Ida Heiner, shot right there on location.
Capturing that whole vibe, that glamour, that dolce far niente feeling.
That leisurely, luxurious state of mind,
Yeah.
That itself is presented as a luxury.
That sense of effortless ease. And the sources also mentioned their wider support for cinema, too, didn't they? Like costumes for Richard Linklater's film.
Yeah, Nouvelle Vague at Cannes 2025, providing costumes, doing events, and backing other projects like an animation called Arco, and Kristen Stewart's directorial debut, The Chronology of Water.
Wow, so it's a real deepening commitment to the medium, not just a one-off.
Definitely seems that way.
Okay, so we've seen theatrical, literary, cinematic approaches, but the sources also highlighted something different, maybe more personal, this idea of interaction as entertainment through personalization.
Right. Louis Vuitton is the key example here, operating on a quieter, more individual scale.
And it plugs right into that massive and growing market for personalized high-end goods.
Which is expected to hit, nearly 420 billion euros by 2032.
Huge numbers.
Exactly. So they've significantly expanded their monogram offering.
Letting clients make heritage items uniquely theirs.
Turning them into these deeply personal expressions of identity.
And the experience of actually doing that customization online is crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, that seems to be a big part of it. You can go in, interact with the brand codes, customize iconic bags like the Speedy, the Alma, the Neverfull.
Luggage, too, other leather goods.
Right. Choosing different fonts, LV Bold, Heritage playing with those stripe patterns like Wave, Arrow, Pont Neuf, different colors.
You're essentially co-creating with the brand.
And that interaction itself becomes its own form of entertainment, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the quiet thrill.
The personal satisfaction of creating something that feels uniquely yours, tied to the brand's history, but made new by you.
Okay, so let's try and bring all these examples together. The theater, the literary clubs, the cinema, this personalization. What are the big lessons here for the industry looking forward, according to the sources?
Well, the material really hammers home the expectations of the new luxury clients, especially Gen Z.
Right, what do they want?
They want personalized clienteling, that deep, tailored relationship.
Not just transactional.
No. They want immersive experiences, authenticity, emotional resonance, transparency. They expect digital fluency, including social selling.
And a real sense of belonging. You mentioned that with Miu Miu.
Exactly. And there's also this critical issue around trust and value perception.
Ah, yes, the pricing.
Yeah. Some clients, particularly these younger, wealthy, digitally native ones, are apparently perceiving recent price hikes from brands like, say, Dior and Louis Vuitton.
As being overpriced.
Feeling overpriced, yeah. And they contrast that with Hermes.
Where there's that perceived restraint, fairness.
Right, which seems to really resonate and build that crucial trust.
So the lesson is, even the biggest, most established names can't just rest on their laurels.
Absolutely not. Those traditional pillars of luxury scarcity, craftsmanship, storytelling, emotional inspiration, they have to be constantly reimagined for this new landscape.
So what does that reimagining look like in practice?
It means, well, over-investing in that emotional resonance, really deepening client relationships, making sure every single interaction, whether it's online or offline, feels incredibly personal, meaningful.
Agility, client centricity, they're not just buzzwords.
No, the sources stress they're essential for survival now.
It was interesting, too, reading about the Lego example that was mentioned.
Yeah, as a kind of model.
Right, for blending business with entertainment to build that really deep loyalty through a whole brand universe.
It really highlights how building a brand today isn't just about selling products. It's about building a world.
Yeah.
Right? A world people want to inhabit, interact with.
So if we pull it all together, the sources basically show that entertainment is this really powerful vehicle for luxury brands.
To forge deeper connections, actively shape culture.
But the real impact, the lasting value, that comes when the creativity is deeply aligned with the brand's core values.
Absolutely. Turning events or interactions into these genuine emotional journeys, fostering desire that lasts way beyond just acquiring the physical product.
So the future of luxury. It sounds like a playground for brands bold enough to really merge entertainment with meaning and, crucially, consistency.
That seems to be the message. The material suggests brands need to seriously audit their strategies, optimize how they execute, and really double down on the fundamentals.
Like training staff.
Yeah, training staff not just on product knowledge, but on emotional clienteling, developing empathy, understanding the sort of psychological fluency needed to connect deeply with individuals.
So moving beyond just knowing the specs of a bag.
To understanding the person who wants to own it and why. Exactly.
Makes sense.
The brands that are going to lead, it seems, are those unafraid to create these truly immersive experiences that genuinely spark joy.
Enrich personal story.
Through unforgettable, shareable moments, every single detail matters. Each experience, big or small, it needs to strengthen that brand connection and leave a really powerful, lingering impression.
Right. That brings us towards the end of this deep dive. Here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider building on this material. Given that experiences and these emotional connections are becoming so paramount in luxury, really shifting the focus away from just the physical object, how might brands innovate even further to create truly unique, truly meaningful emotional journeys that resonate deeply with individuals? And maybe more critically, what happens to the brands that fail to make this fundamental shift? The ones that don't become these cultural producers, these experience providers.
Food for thought.
Definitely. Well, thank you for providing the source material for this deep dive into the evolving world of luxury and entertainment.
It was fascinating to explore.